On this session of Intrigue Teaches, we are going to be making a beautiful and big statement piece. We are going to design with these beautiful lavender Silvery Light, and we're going to use these gorgeous Whitehouse roses, this nice crisp white tone. That white tone with our lavender tone and this really funky sea life down here is going to be incredible. Not only that, I think we might just play with a little bit of these Mitsumoto, I always mispronounce this, Mitsumoto branches. I will put a link at the bottom so that you actually have the exact name of the branch, but I believe they're Mitsumoto branches. And we have this gorgeous Mendelina caning, which is really going to be pretty. So we've got some really interesting mixed elements going into this design, which is part of making a statement piece. You know, you don't make a statement with just a ball of roses, right? You need some pizzazz in there, a few accessories, if you will. So let's get started. I've got to get some roses processed. These are gorgeous, but I have these guys here. These are my Jet Fresh roses. These are the Whitehouse roses, and they are so ready to get processed to go into this piece. If you don't already know, I want to talk to you about the way they ship their roses, which is really incredible. And this is the only company that I've seen do this. They ship in Arrive Alive, so this is hydration. There is moisture in here, so that rose can continue to drink the entire time it's shipping from the farm in Ecuador all the way till the time it gets onto your design table for your wedding or your event or for that birthday celebration that's going out the door. This right here is a bonus. Will make your flowers last even longer. All right, they need to be in this piece, so let's get to processing. Now that we've got our flowers processed, we are ready to go. Of course, I did want to make sure we got them hydrated a little bit, so you may not have seen it, but I switched out the roses that we just processed for roses that had been sitting in hydration and fresh water. Even though they do ship in the Arrive Alive, you still want to get them processed into fresh water just like you would any other flower. Now let's talk about the structure of this container. This here is an accent decor container that I got years and years ago, and I painted it white because honestly, I love a white container and I find it really difficult to find really large size, heavy duty white containers. So this right here was hit up with some regular old Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you want to go, hardware store, spray paint. And it holds really well, it touches up really well. And again, I've had it for years and it's still in great shape. It did come with this great black dish, which is completely waterproof, so it holds any hydration I want. I could do with foam or without foam. Today we're using a grande block of foam. I did go ahead and I shaved the sides just a little bit so it will sit nice and flush. And then I never want to just assume that foam is going to stay in the container, so I always like to use a little tape. So this right here is our waterproof, where's the end of it? This is our waterproof tape by Oasis. Gosh, I am not the only one that struggles with this, right? All right, can you help me maybe? I need to find the end. Here we go. All right, there we are. By the way, that happens all the time. I can't find the end of the tape. So what I'm going to do is I just want to go over this twice. Once east to west, once north to south, and then I'm going to go all the way around to make sure it stays tight. Oops. Have to actually stick it to the edge. So once we've got our crisscross, our east to west, our north to south, then I'm going to come around the top and I'm going to come over with another run of tape. I'm just going to tape all the way around, just giving that another level of security. And I'm not worried so much what it looks like. I'm not worried that you can see the difference between the black and the white of the tape. It really does not matter. This is just for a little security. Once we're all done, you're not going to see this container at all. We've got so many beautiful things to design with that the container will just go away. And again, tape to tape always works better. If I haven't said it, I will say it a million times. Tape to tape. Make sure that tape to tape connections are good. This is gonna hold this, so if you are traveling, if you're shipping and going into your truck for a wedding or party and the truck is moving and bouncing, this thing is still gonna stay in place. And if you're carrying and maybe you stumble, again, still staying in place. That's gonna go right in here. You can see that this container has a nice lip inside, and it will hold a loamy tray. So if you want to do a loamy instead of this, you can do that as well. I like this metal tray because it's so deep and I can really add a lot of water and hydration. So once the design is complete, I usually like to top off my tray and make sure it is completely filled with water so that foam can continue to hydrate those roses. Whenever you're working with flowers, hydration is always the key. All right, so now let's talk. What kind of design are we gonna make? Do we wanna do a big tall design? Do we wanna do a round design? Well, for me personally, I always like a little funky asymmetry. So that's what I'm gonna play with today. I've got my container on my Lazy Susan, and I want to make sure it's balanced. I'm using a smaller Lazy Susan today. There we go. So I want to make sure it's balanced so that when I start adding all these flowers, it doesn't topple over on me. A Lazy Susan will help you so much. If you don't have one, you can get those on Amazon too, and I'm sure I've got a link for that. All right, so before we even put any flowers, let's start getting our structure. These Mitsumoto branches, I'm still saying it wrong, are going to be what I'm going to use to really give this design some structure. These are lightweight, and they've got really some interesting shape to them. And I pulled two colors. I pulled this gorgeous bleached white wood here, which is really interesting, almost driftwood-like. Being that we're in Annapolis, you know, there's a lot of coastal environments, so I like to have this on hand. And then because I love some color, and I thought it was so interesting to give this splash of difference, I brought in this aqua Mitsumoto branches. But the reality is, I don't know if I'm going to use them yet because the design hasn't come together. And although I think it's going to look really cool, it could look terrible. So we're going to hold off till we have more of the design done and get started with our whitewash, with our bleach design, which I know is going to look amazing. All right, when it comes to height, I need to know how high I can go. So I want to make sure that if you're at a ceremony space that you go as high as the photographer will be able to reach, or as high as, you know, if you're in the Catholic Church, many times it has to be below Mother Mary, but you want to know what your height is. I'm going to keep my height right at arm's length, so I don't want to go taller than that. I don't want to go taller than I can reach. That way I'm going to be able to keep it powerful but not so giant. Now these are usually pretty easy to cut through. This stem I want to use is really, really thick, so this might be a bit challenging without a saw. Let's see if I can get through it. You know, as florists, I do believe we MacGyver everything. There we go. Let's see. All right, I may have to take this one out back and get a saw, but I'm going to use this one. All right, I did have to take a saw to this one because it was a little bit hefty in the stem, but I know I wanted to use it, so it was well worth it. Now I'm looking at some asymmetry. So I want line coming up this way and I want line coming down this way to really create that flow. I'm almost imagining like a cresting ocean wave, how you have that froth and that foam and then the white waves. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad describing things, but you know what I'm talking about, the ocean, right? So I'm gonna take this in, and this is a large space. I wanna make sure it's nice and secure. There we go. And then I've got these pieces here and I wanna add some levels. So usually if we take, even when these are solid, if we take our scissors and we just score this around the edge, then usually it'll snap, pretty easy. That one was just a little too big. There we go. So I'm gonna snap that one and give this some more texture here. Oh, I love this so much. All right, and let's score this one here as well. And I hold on to these little pieces that I don't use because I often want to use them when I'm putting my sea life in, and I'll show you that in just a bit. Let's see. All right, so I went through 3 different depths. So I have one closer, one in the middle, one back a little farther. And then I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna start working over in this direction. So again, we have this swooping motion. So beautiful. You know, this is a branch, when I first saw it, I thought, what in the heck am I ever gonna do with that? And then once I learned how to use it, how to incorporate this into my designs, it really gave me a lot of creative freedom. See how easy that snaps? Oh, this one might be too long. All right, let's go for it. We're making a big old piece. All right, so if you can see here, I'm gonna make a change, and I hate to poke another hole in this foam, but when I put this in, it kind of angled up. So now I have this curve coming here, and then this one coming up, almost like a bowl-ish, and I don't really care for that. So I'm gonna take this out, which makes me sad because you cannot put that many holes in foam, especially when you have these big, thick stems. I'm gonna try to cut it a little bit more, cutting it a little shorter this time. And now when I place it, I'm gonna see if I can place it. Yeah, it looks like that lip is gonna hold it up a little too high. But I know the way I want this, so there we go. I feel much better about that. Still a little bit of that crest, but I really like the shape a lot more than I was before. All right, so these pieces here, oh, it looks kind of like coral. I'm gonna set these aside again. I'm not gonna just discard them because more than likely I'm gonna end up using them in the design. And I've got some extras over here, so once I start to get my roses or my flowers in, then I can add some additional pieces. Right now, I just want this core structure that I've got, and I am really thrilled with it. All right, the first flower I'm gonna add is gonna be our white flowers, and I'm going to do these in, I'm going to do the floral design in groupings. So I like to see groupings of 10, 12, 15 flowers that are like color and like kind all in one area. I find visually that really draws the eye in. It makes it really interesting. I also like to kind of pour the flowers towards the back. This is going to be a one-sided design, which means the back itself will not be as filled in. Now, I'm not going to show you this today, but you can fill in with greenery, with salal. Honestly, I use anything extra and left over, but for today, we're really going to focus on the front of this design. Oh, this makes me so happy. You know what? Maybe I want it all the way around. Maybe this is not, maybe I might change my mind. Maybe it's not a one-sided presentation. Maybe this is in the middle of a round table at a gorgeous wedding with place cards all around. Yes, I love that. Let's do that. Well, the fun is I'm designing for you, so I can make those changes on the fly. When you're designing for your client, maybe don't make those changes quite that quickly on your own. All right, I'm gonna start by cutting my stem. And I'm gonna cut my stem so that I have about 2 to 3 inches to go into the foam, and I still get the head of the rose just lipped over just a bit. I'm also leaving leaves on there. I don't want any leaves under the foam, but I do want to leave some of the leaves on there so that I have some fill on the inside. If you cut all of your leaves off, then you're gonna end up with these really big spaces, and I don't love big spaces. I do have a way to kind of cover some of them, but it's really not my favorite way. Oh, look at this. So you see the roses here, we're doing them at 2 different levels. I like to do lots of mix of the levels. There's no reason to do a flush design in this case. If you want something modern and flush, go for it, but I don't feel like there's any reason we have to do that. You know, roses kind of get a bad name for being boring. I hope you don't think the rose is boring. I think it's amazing. But a lot of brides will come in and they'll say, you know, I just want anything but roses. And it's really just because they don't know what the options are with roses. They don't know all the creative, fun things you can do with roses. And they don't know that they come in such a wide variety of colors and shapes. Look at the difference here. Just the difference between this gorgeous Whitehouse rose and this Silvery Light rose. You can see how they're just not the same. They're kind of like people. We're all in different bodies and shapes, and we're all still beautiful. So For those brides who don't like roses, I always try to just share with them some great rose varieties that they may actually like. All right, I'm continuing to add. Again, going back and forth with my layers. And you'll see that I turn it around occasionally so that I can take a look to make sure it is how I want to see it. Now, when you are designing at home, you do not have to design backwards. I am designing backwards just for you. If I am designing for a wedding in my studio, I look at it the entire time. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so gorgeous. You know when you know the design, you have thought about it, and you finally have the flowers in your hand, and you're able to bring it to life, and you get that moment where your heart is pattering, you're just so excited about the bloom. That's how I feel when I'm putting these designs together. I thought it was going to be beautiful, and it really is beautiful. So I am going to leave some space. I'm going to leave some space for some of the sea life that I want to add in. You can see the roses are not going to be too tight together. I'm going to start building back in this direction. And the space that I see going through, what we're going to do towards the end, when you look through and I see any of my foam or mechanics, we have this really great reindeer moss that kind of, again, looks like sea foam to me or something that would wash up on the beach. And we're going to go ahead and put that in deep, which is really, really interesting. Reindeer moss comes in lots of different colors too. It's another fun buy from Accent Decor that I really love to use. If you can't tell, I love my friends over at Accent Decor. Oh, there we go. I really like how the leaves that are in there are just leaving a little bit of texture so that the eye goes in and sees those changes of dark to light. So now that I have a nice grouping here, I'm gonna start, oh, this is so pretty. I'm gonna start on the other side and I'm gonna do another grouping. Now, I could go straight across or I could go to curve. I feel like for today, I think that curve is speaking to me, especially given that we have these lavender tones that are really fluffy and wide that we can add in. So we're gonna curve this one. And you can see here, I intentionally looked for a rose that was a little droopy. I know if you're doing a dozen roses in a vase, you want them all to be perfectly straight. But for event work, we don't want perfection. We want more natural, more organic flowing flowers. And this here is gonna be great for coming right over the edge. So if I'm gonna curve this in, it's gonna get placed right here, and see how nicely that drips down? Like, it looks like it was meant to be that way, right? You know, I talk all the time about listening to the flower, and someone told me that when I was early in my career, and I remember chuckling, like, how silly is that, listening to the flower? But we really do listen to the flower. Where does the flower want to be placed? Oh my gosh, look at that. Is that not just so fun? One little blow and it opened up so beautifully. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. So once we get the last of our white roses in here, I'm gonna move over to our lavender roses. And what I really like about our lavender roses is how full and lush they are. Oh, one more. Now you'll see I do have a gap in here in the middle, and I'm gonna leave this gap there just because once I add the lavenders, I may want to fill in a little different direction. Let's take a look. Oh, in and out, in and out. It's so pretty. All right, let's clean up this trash here, and then we'll move on to our next color. So I am going to leave all of my guard petals on, taking away some of the leaves, but I'm leaving all of the guard petals on. And I'm doing that because I love that organic, natural roughness on the outside. It almost adds beauty to the center of the rose. And my designs tend to be a mix of an organic design and a composed ballroom design, and I really like the mixture. So pretty. And these are going to group right next to those beautiful Whitehouse roses. Jet Fresh was so good to send us these gorgeous blooms. Again, leaving the greens on. Now these have even more greens than the Whitehouse roses had, which I really am happy with. I believe that the clustering of the flowers with the greens attached really gives it fullness and life that you just wouldn't get if you just had a completely stripped naked rose. Ooh, naked roses, scandalous. Not sure where that came from. I try to say appropriate things all the time, so when I say things that are borderline inappropriate, it just makes me laugh like I'm a 12-year-old. Naked roses. All right, focusing. We're designing, not stripping roses. Oh gosh, that was worse. So now I have this line here. So I'm doing some of these in and out steps like we talked about with the Whitehouse roses. And I'm seeing how we have the movement that's coming out in this direction with this Matsumoto branch. And I want to add a longer rose. So although I'm not pulling most of the guard petals, if there's an actual dead looking petal, that's going to come off. I want to keep some length here. This one is going to be a nice mid-range length. And then I want to find one that can really jut out. Let's see how far this one will go. If I don't get the length here, I've got some behind me that might work. Oh, there we go. Oops. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So if I just stopped the roses there and I didn't go all the way to and fully commit to that movement, then it was going to end up just looking a little broken and disconnected, and I want there to be really nice flow. Now I'm going to start moving on to the back side. So right here, as you can see, I kind of lipped over a little bit on the other side. Right here, we've got another direction that's happening on this side. So I'm not going to go as severe, and in order to make it point up a little bit more, it really has a lot to do with the direction that I'm placing the stem. So if you look here, I'm going to place the stem, instead of out like I was previously, I'm placing it up. And that is going to give us that raised level. Well, this needs to go in a little bit more. Gosh, I just love roses so much. All right, let's get the rest of these lavenders in and then we'll move on. So I was gonna move on, but then I saw another opportunity to add these beautiful lavender roses right here. See right there? It's just calling for that lavender in there. Especially once you see the sea life start to get added, it's gonna be really, really fun. So I saved a few stems. We didn't use all of them. And I'm gonna add these in, and I'm gonna start to climb this escalation that we have here. So you see this? We're gonna go in really high. And I kind of started over here, and I'm gonna pick it up so that these roses are really getting some of that height. You know what? Behind me, I have some roses that are even taller. These are fun. Always keep your favorite flowers in arm's reach because you never know when you're going to want them. Look at the size. Look at the height. This is a great 60 centimeter rose. Great quality 60 centimeter rose. Really, really happy with it. All right, give it a cut. And I haven't really said it, but I always cut at an angle every single time. That allows the flower, oh, look how high this is. Okay. It allows the flower to absorb more. It gives it more space to absorb. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. All right, so I said before I just need to climb that area. So what I meant by climbing it is I don't want to have roses down here and then roses up there because that's really disconnected, right? So I want to have these stair steps leading there. But in order to do the stair steps, I really need a guide first, so I know what height I'm going after. And I feel like I might want to take that down just a notch. I love the height, but it's very important that I have the right balance of height. I also want to put this inside there. I like this. I like this movement a lot better. This feels very fluid. It's amazing what just cutting off 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch will do to the design. Gosh, we are so lucky that we get to design flowers for a living. Like, this is incredible. I can't imagine doing anything else in my life than having flowers in my hands every single day. There's nothing more rewarding and uplifting than working with beautiful, natural works of art. Like, this is a piece of art that nature just grew. Flowers are fascinating to me. Oh, so beautiful. All right, let's get these added. This design is getting so big, I'm almost hidden. I've got my roses in place, and I may add a few more. I've saved some extras, but I want to start adding this really cool sea life so that the design can really get that fun texture that I want to see in it. And I believe in using as much of the flower as possible. So I have saved these stems. These are the actual rose stems that I cut off to place these roses in this design. And we're going to use this as a base to help us add in this sea life because it is heavy. So we have down here, we've got some coral, we've got some barnacles, which I love that pink lavender tone. We've got some starfish, we've got some sea urchins, and I even have, I don't even know if I can use this, but I found this ceramic shell that just kind of coordinated with everything. I may just make this a little accent piece to go on the table, but I just had to pull it together because it worked with everything else. So, all right, let's get started with our big barnacles. Oh my gosh, these are barnacles, right? I'm pretty sure. I've actually never seen a barnacle like this in real life, but it is beautiful. And look at how the color works with the lavender roses and the Whitehouse roses, so pretty. So because these are heavy, I can't just wire them. So I find a hole in the back. You can see there's holes down here. And I'm going to place my rose stems into the holes so that I get some stability. So then I can place this piece in like it is a flower. Now this works fluidly and easily sometimes, and it's a little more tricky other times. So I really want to put this in here, but I don't have a hole. So let's try to do this with just one. Might be big enough. Let's just try. It's all a matter of trial and error. There's a slight, this might hold. There's a slight hole here, just not as big as I would like it. I really want to have this gorgeous piece of coral be prominent. I don't want it to fall out. Oh, and I think I did it. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look, just like a flower. Oh, and because I don't want it to get lonely, we're gonna add another piece right down here. And I have a nice big space here. So this one, because I have such a big space, I'm gonna do a few of these rose stems as opposed to one. So I can really wedge this in tight. Again, these are heavy, and because I'm going to be moving them, I want to make sure everything I do is nice and secure. All right, maybe we're not going to do this one. Let's try a different one. Oh my gosh, I just want these. I want to take these home. Kind of don't want to send this design out to the wedding. I want to keep it forever. All right, so again, I'm going to put 2 in this one just to make sure it's wedged nice and tight. That is really, really good. All right, so this one's nice and secure. I'm going to cut the stems so that they're going to go in at the same length. I'm going to go right down into my foam. And again, I'm treating this just like a flower. And I want to connect with the larger barnacle. And again, we kept some roses, so we're gonna be able to pepper some roses back in to give that a little bit more texture. I want to do the same thing on the other side. I have these barnacles here, and I want to add some more life on this direction. This one is smaller. It has a large opening. This one might be a challenge, but I can always handle a challenge. So, we have this silver bind wire. If you haven't seen it yet, Oasis now makes bind wire in colors. You don't have to use brown and green your whole life. I love bind wire, I use it all the time, and I'm thrilled by the colors. And I'm gonna use this bind wire to wrap around these 3 rose stems so that I can use this as a solid base. And you can see there's a large opening here. And with that large opening, I'm gonna want these stems to go in there and hold tight. But I don't love that it pokes through and I see so much green. The bind wire is going to help me disguise that green. Because somehow silver just makes more sense to me than green. And I'm not completely covering this. I'm just wrapping it back and forth, giving it a little bit of shimmer. And there's no need to glue it. I'm just going to place it. Gives it a little bit of security. I'm going to cut these stems. And then I'm going to place it again, just like a flower. Oh my gosh. So good. If there was a crowd right now, it would be going wild. That was a rock star moment, getting that barnacle in. All right, this next barnacle is going to be even trickier because I want this barnacle to go right about here, and it's got a really large opening. So again, I've got to get creative with how I'm going to do this. I've got this bundle of stems, which will just go right through because it's such a big opening. So I'm going to try to wrap it in the bind wire again, and then might add some tape to it as well. Bind wire. Bind wire is like I guess it's the florist duct tape. You know, plumbers, contractors, they love their duct tape. As a florist, we should all love our bind wire. I use the natural all the time. Now that I know I can get it in these colors and the silver and the gold, and I think there was pink stuff, and I could be making that up. But I know the silver and gold. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of tape around the bind wire as well. And I'm doing that just so it gets a little bit more of a tacky surface. I'm going to take this tape, I'm going to go around once, and then I'm going to go backwards so that the sticky side is on the outside. Now this is not going to stick like a real tape sticking, but it's just going to give me a little bit of tackiness to hold this better. So now when we put this in, oh, it definitely holds stronger, definitely feels good. I'm going to trim my stems, and I'm going to work this into place. Don't want to break it. These do tend to be fragile. Oh, so beautiful. And I'll fill that space with our beautiful roses, put those in nice and deep so we can still enjoy these pieces. We have some more fun things to go in. Look at this. Oh, I'm so glad we did this as a full piece and not just a one-sided. So now I've got to decide where to put the starfish. And I could place him here. I could put him up in the branches. Does he want to be up here in the branches? I might like this. No, I hate it, actually. Didn't like that at all. What I didn't like about it was I felt like the story then became all about a starfish, and all we'd be looking at is an arrangement with a giant starfish on the corner. I want the starfish to be nested in, kind of like it would be in the wild. Yeah, I want it subtle. I actually am not securing that at all. It's just in there. I could put a hot glue a wood stick to the back of it, but I'm just gonna place it there and I'm gonna design around. So it's almost as if, you know, you're snorkeling and you see the seafloor and there's that hidden starfish that you just glimpse out of the corner of your eye. I don't want it to be obvious. I kind of want you to work for it to see that little bit of interest. All right. Next, I'm going to put in my sea urchins, and I love sea urchins. Sea urchins and jellyfish are two things that I get really excited about. Now, these urchins I have in multiple different styles. So this one here, these small little pink urchins, these are neat because they again pick up on that lavender texture. And this is a more traditional urchin. And when I place this, it's going to give me a nice pop of that more brown, that natural organic. When I'm wiring these, I do something a little bit different. This is our 21 gauge. It is 21 gauge floral wire. I'm going to take 2 pieces of my floral wire. I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm just going to make a little loop like this. And then I'm going to take the loop, go into my sea urchin, and that creates a base for me. Very, very simple. I can put this base directly into my foam, or I can attach it to a rose stem. I'm going to grab a few more of those rose stems so we can actually use the rose stem. I think that's going to be a great way to get the length that we want so that these aren't too deep. So we've attached our rose stem, and now again we have just like a little flower. We're treating our sea life like they are part of the floral family. And here I'm adding this right in with the flowers next to our beautiful, beautiful barnacles, and you're getting that color and that texture difference as it bounces through. Then I'm going to add a second. In fact, I think I have some starfish too. I'm going to add a second in here. I tend to not like anything alone. One-offs throw me. But when it comes to sea life, I feel like I don't often see a whole bouquet of sea urchins. So I'm going to spread them out a little bit more. At the end of the day, this is floral design. I'm not a marine biologist, so being technically accurate is not my priority. But I still think no need for a bouquet of sea urchins. So I've wired it. I'm adding my rose stem, where I'm just going to tape that rose stem very simply to my wire. It's probably more helpful if you pre-cut that tape. All right, so I have my urchin over on this side. I have my starfish buried in deep. I'm gonna come in down really nice and low, and I'm gonna add this piece right here. Now I know I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna add in some roses, so it's just gonna barely tuck in. Very, very subtle and sweet. Oh, this is starting to make me really, really happy. All right, this side I'm really happy with. I'm gonna go on to my, oh wait, I wanna add everything. I've got coral in here too. You know, I have a rule, and my rule is that sometimes you just have to take an accessory away. The rule is called the Chanel rule. A designer taught me this rule years ago, and the Chanel rule is that if you have lots of accessories, make sure before you walk out the door you take one accessory off. And in this case, my accessories are my sea life. So maybe I don't need the coral, or maybe I just need this one more. Because this, oh my gosh, look at this. Can you just nod your head and say yes, yes, yes with me? That right there is spectacular. So I have a whole nother challenge with this. And that is, it is actually a sculptural piece, so it's flat on the side, which means in order to get it in there, I need to get a thick stem, and I'm gonna have to really make sure it's taped really, really well. And that is gonna be a little bit tricky, so bear with me. I'm gonna start by turning it upside down. I'm gonna do a series of ooglue patches directly on the back. The ooglue patches are going to give me some temporary stickiness while I'm putting the stems on. And then I'm going to use my waterproof tape, and it's very important to use waterproof tape. Duct tape works well too. A white duct tape would work really well, but I'm going to do our waterproof tape today. And I'm going to do multiple rose stems here, right in the back. And this was a piece I actually found at a local store. It was a Home Goods or a Target or something. Sometimes when I have an event coming up, actually all the time when I have an event coming up, I keep an eye out when I'm at the store or I'm shopping for personal things. I'm looking for elements that will enhance my wedding, elements that will make my wedding stand out. You know, part of being a designer is getting to design. Let's see if that'll work. I may need, you know what? I have got some white duct tape around here. So our waterproof tape is a great idea, but sometimes you just need to call in the big dogs, and right now the big dogs is contractor grade white duct tape. I actually keep duct tape in all different colors because you never know what you're going to need to duct tape. This actually is not duct tape, this is Gorilla Tape. Very similar to duct tape. Well, whether you're duct taping or Gorilla taping, it's all good. You just need some heavy duty tape. So I've got my stems on the back, and I'm just gonna go over with this tape and make sure I press it down really, really good. All right, I feel very, very good about this. I'm gonna give my stems a little cut. And I cut the stems at different lengths on this one because I know I'm going into the side of the piece, and my oasis, my foam, is at different levels. So when I go in, I'm gonna hit the first one first, and I'm gonna push it all the way back. Oh, it's gonna work so perfectly. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's like a whole little sea gathering. I love it. So fun. All right, so let me get to work on the other side, and maybe I'll add some of these fun corals on the other side, seeing how I'm ignoring my Chanel rule altogether. All right, this coral here, I'm gonna take this binding. I've got 5 of these 21 gauge floral wires here, and I chose 5 of them because this is a heavier piece of coral. This is real coral, and I usually get real coral, honestly. I look at the secondhand shops, and if I see chunks of coral, I will snatch them up because being in a coastal town, that's something clients like a lot of. And coral gets to be very expensive, so I'm always hoarding pieces. So I've got my wire there. Again, I'm going to add my rose stem because that just makes life easier. The rose stem really gives it a sturdier place, and it helps to stick into the foam, whereas if it was just a wire, it would slide out a lot easier. So happy with this. I'm gonna take this wire and just roll it around. Don't even have to clip it. Now, where do we want to put this? So on the other side, I have the starfish, I have that collection over there. This piece, I think I want to go down this direction. I don't want this to be so deep that you can't see it. I definitely want it to be prominent. And so we've got it right between my lavenders and my whites. And then we're gonna add, right about here, we're gonna add these really cool urchins. Now what I prefer about this type of urchin over the pink spotted urchin is this urchin doesn't have a hole in the middle. I really like it solid all the way through, but this has got a really cool texture. Now I zigzagged this a little differently. See, I have 2 bends in there, and I zigzagged it just because I was having trouble getting it into the opening. This urchin was a little smaller of an opening, and I wanted to make sure that it went in there nice and tight, which it now is. Adding my rose stem, because again, we like easy life, and the rose stems make life easier. All right, coral. Oh, this may not be long enough. Oh, that's dreadful. Well, given it's not long enough, I'm gonna find another home for it, maybe a little bit sad, because I definitely wanted it in that spacing. But my rose stem is the length it is. You can also use hyacinth sticks, which give you a little bit more flexibility. Well then, one of my least favorite things is when I have a flower that I cut too short. Let's see if I can find another home. I've tried a few places, but it just doesn't seem to do it justice. I can't have this just hiding in the background. It needs to be showcased. Oh wait, I can put it right about here. Ah, there we go. Do I like this? Let's give it a look. Nope, I don't like it. We're designers, right? If we don't like it, we don't do it. That is actually my rule when designs go out. Even if it's not my style, I need to like the design and to be proud of the work before it walks out my door. If you're not proud of the work, chances are your client won't be proud of the work either, because we judge ourselves a lot more harsh than our clients do. Ooh, there we go. Oh gosh, there we go. Look at this. You ready? Oh, that was my opera voice. Look at that. So beautiful. At this point, I feel really good about the sea life that we've added in here. And now I want to finish this design off. I'm going to add a few more branches and I'm going to add some roses. And I just want to make sure I'm adding a touch of the white and a touch of the lavender to cross over to really meld this grouping of design. And then we're going to add a little bit of that moss that I told you about to go in nice and deep. I am in love, absolutely in love, and we're not even done, and I'm so in love. All right, so remember I kept these branches that I wanted to hold on to because they have a little bit of style to them, a little movement, and they kind of have that coral vibe. So I'm gonna go ahead and work these in right now, and I just wanna add to this branch section we have over here. Now, before I was worried about the scoop, and as this design has come together, I'm no longer concerned about it. I really like the way that it has that movement where it just kind of lips up on the side. And then this other piece here, I'm gonna add this right over by our starfish. We have another little textural element there. Really, really delighted with this. Now, if you look close, you can look in and you can see a little bit of the foam, and we don't want to see the foam at all, but I also don't want a dense arrangement that is so packed that it's rows, rows, rows. It just looks like a pave. So I've taken some of this reindeer moss. It comes in a box like this from Accent Decor. I'm sure you can get it other places as well. I buy this I think I buy it by the pallet when I order this. And I'm gonna take it and just tuck it in deep. And you're gonna see, I'll do some of the front so you can actually see how it adds a little bit of texture. Now this, I'm going in deep, but I'm not going in all the way to the bottom. You could go all the way to the foam if you wanted. I'm just going just behind the flower. In this case, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna tuck it just behind this piece of barnacle, so you can see a little bit of that foam in there. Almost looks like a sea sponge, doesn't it? I love texture. You'll see me play with texture all over the place. And you can use texture without having something that's overly organic or overly natural. You can use texture in ballroom and it's still beautiful. This definitely would be a great design for a ballroom wedding, for a gala, charity event. And this part goes really, really quickly. I don't use pins, I just tuck it in. I used to do a treatment like this with Spanish moss before I discovered how much I loved reindeer moss. Oh, for this coastal design, it just looks great. I'm going to show you another trick that I do. I'm going to go back to my wires. So I can actually make a flower. I'm going to take one of these wires here, I pierce it through the middle, and then I just gently wrap the wire around. Gently. You can actually destroy this. It is a fresh product. Well, I think it's a preserved product. And then I have this little flower on a stem. Well, didn't hold that well. But this little mossy flower. So if I want something that's going to come up a little bit higher, I can actually put it in higher and have it stay in place by adding that wire. So there we have it. I think it's time for this beautiful design to get on a beautiful table and get its picture taken, because if I looked this good every day, I'd be walking around with paparazzi following me all the time. This design is hot.